Oh, yeah.
He didn't break that tooth.
No.
Someone at the Peacock did.
Yeah.
Actually, not even at the Peacock, outside the Peacock.
Why won't anyone hire me? I have a broken tooth and a tank top
And a mustache.
and hair down to, and a mustache.
And a mustache.
And a beanie on with a tank top.
So for the listener, Benny's wearing like a short sleeve,
Really
collared
fancy, like florally.
It's a cool. It's like cool floral.
Yeah, I
It's
like it.
subtle floral. I can tell it's floral, but I'm not close
It's a
enough to
floral
tell what the flowers
pattern.
are. So it's
The
like a
floral
mystery.
pattern.
I'm like, it could be anything. Are those
It's like,
azaleas? Chrysanthemums?
Iggy?
Is it Iggy's?
Yeah. I'm so fancy.
Holy shit, your coif is amazing. And we're starting this because Benny's handsome as hell, always. But also, you had a birthday this weekend on Saturday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thanks.
birthday again. Benny birthday. I didn't pull off the impossible of getting everyone in our halftime Twitter spaces to sing happy birthday for you.
I don't know how you would pull that off.
That would have been the best moment. I didn't even try. I was at home. But
Sorry, man.
Beavers didn't come through for your birthday.
Almost.
But it was still a fun day.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of fun things to talk about and a lot of unfun things to talk about.
Yeah.
But at least we're doing it with a very, very, very handsome Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage.
I appreciate you.
Whatever age you are, I've lost track, but that number looks good on you, my friend.
Thank you. It was the average of the score. Well, kind of. Wait, no.
You're 36
close
and a half.
enough.
It was your half
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah. 37.
Hey, it was my half birthday like 20 days ago, 19 days
No
ago.
shit. Happy
Yeah.
half birthday.
That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you are
I'm the
you are the
of the
average.
scores. Yeah.
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 There you go. I think
There's-
you turned
there's a sign.
109, as in the 109th episode of the Belligerent Beast podcast. JT, roll that theme music. Oh, well, it's
Yeah, all right. And that was it.
Yeah.
We're done.
Bye.
Happy birthday, Benny.
I really hope that there's a pause edited in there because whatever, we just got to get to it. We've got to do it. It's like a band-aid. I think in a way, I hesitate to say we've been spoiled, but when we started this thing, we were coming off of the 2020 COVID season. The Beavs had just gone 2-4. The season before that, they went 5-7, easily ahead of schedule in the rebuild. And the season before that was Jonathan Smith's first year at the helm, and they went 2-10. If you had told me then, in 2.5 years, you guys are going to get on here, fresh off of a 3-point loss on the Palouse when a ranked Oregon State team lost to a ranked Washington State team, and you're going to feel fucking miserable about it. By the way, the Beavs are 3-1. I'd be like, get out of here. We're not going to feel that way. And yet, we all feel this way. Part of it is because of the bullshit realignment hell we find ourselves in because of corporate greed and evil TV network empires and just a bunch of assholes who don't care about our community or our school or the soul of college football or college athletics or decent things everywhere. And that we absolutely could not have foreseen. And we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, just how that will be looming over this season, next season, pretty much everything forever. Say even like the most naive, positive outlook on the future comes true. Even then, every single awful like realignment thing that fucks a school is going to be like 2 to 3 years away, no matter what position you're in, unless you're like the 6 to 10 teams deemed untouchable by some mystical figure at Fox or whatever. But let's start getting into the game a little bit. I think we should start talking about the game, and then we'll input a Reagan Beers segment. But I think just sort of main takeaway. Let's just kind of do that just to get us into this conversation. It's maybe a little bit of light banter, if you will, about
No way.
emphasis on light, emphasis on banter. If you want to come out with pitchforks blazing, that this is what this space is for. I think there's a range of feelings across Beaver Nation right now. I think depending on who you ask, the sky might be falling, but everyone's disappointed just because that game was there for the taking. We didn't play our best game. I don't think anyone would say that we did, and it was still a very close game. So let's start with the 36 and a half, but really 37-year-old birthday boy this weekend. Benny, if you have to give one takeaway of Saturday night on the Palouse, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Yeah, I think the first thing, well, it's not the first thing that came to my mind, but I think it's the thing that is going unnoticed is I think there's a lot of reasons why we feel really frustrated with this, and you alluded to a couple of them, but one of them for me was that this felt so similar in so many ways to what we dealt with for the last, 13 years, and that was losing on the Palouse,
Yep.
and struggling on the road in general, and not coming out in the first half aggressive, especially on defense. And I think those were qualities of the team when they were really struggling through the 2010s. Like all three of those, but specifically coming out flat. Yeah, I mean, I know we're doing sort of overviews, but I think in a nutshell, that is that what I came away with.
The stat I saw immediately, like on like the ESPN ticker, which anytime I see Oregon State on the main ESPN ticker, I'm like, ooh, look at us getting attention. And this one,
likewise,
Oregon State had Saturday marked our 15th consecutive road loss against a ranked opponent, and I think there's probably a lot of similar streaks like that in the country. If you're playing on the road is hard. If you're playing a ranked opponent on the road, in all likelihood, you're playing a pretty quality opponent. So I don't know that that's the stat where all like the truth lies in, but it does sort of highlight this sort of frustration. And also, I think what we said before, Smith has done for all of the firsts and things he's accomplished, winning in Pullman. And sort of his signature road win in general has been kind of a little evasive. But JP, I don't want to deny you the chance to air out any grievances you have. I know we all have several, but just sort of the main takeaway to help get us rolling tonight. Talk to me, brother.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the game right now, at least. I'm going to talk about our dude PM at the Digital Dam, and I want to just give him a shout out and send our support and love. He's announced on Twitter or X tonight that he's taking a little break from social media. He's dealing with some mental health issues that he wants to iron out before delving back into the toxic world of social media. And I want to, again, send our support, congratulate him on making a decision like that. Mental health should always come first. It's so much bigger than realignment and football games and schools and brands and media outlets. All that bullshit doesn't matter. What matters is taking care of yourself. And so I applaud him for that. And I want to send him our best.
100%. And like gratitude to him too for talking about it, because that shit's not easy always.
For sure. Yep. I had not seen that, so thank you for mentioning that. PM, best wishes to you, my dude. Yeah, he was in our spaces, and Digital Dam, he's been a pretty big Twitter presence for Oregon State Twitter or whatever. But yes, and there's one time, and it wasn't a halftime spaces, but it was one of the many off-season spaces that he was running. We were laughing a little bit about just how toxic people can be on it. And it's sad because, like most things, most people you come across in that area are good and are nice. And even if they cheer for a different team than you, have different beliefs than you can just be like, oh yeah, let's have a fun conversation about college sports together. And then there are people who just kind of ruin it for everyone. PM, I'm sorry to hear that's getting to you, but congrats on taking a big first step for yourself. And yeah, everyone listening to this and everyone everywhere should always put your mental health first. Take care of yourselves. Peace, love, and harmony to everyone. Obviously that's co-signed on this Love Forward podcast. That's a nice reminder that we started this. It's in our bylaws. I don't know if we refer to them as bylaws, but it's in the first notes of the show that we are here to spread love and to spread joy and to be a light in the darkness. So thank you for that, PM, and thank you for bringing that up, JP.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about beers, which this podcast is also about. I've had a few today on a much less serious but still real note. The Minnesota Vikings are making my life worse right now. They lost to a former Oregon quarterback today, which I think we can all relate to a little bit on how that feels. They lost in a very Viking fashion today. If you haven't watched the highlights yet, the Vikings absolutely snatched defeat from the jaws of victory on like 6 different occasions. And the only way the Vikings can. I am drinking a beer, Kolsch called Cold, spelled the German way with the umlaut over the O. I'm not sure that's actually how you spell the word cold in German, but I'm just going to say that. Fair State Brewing down the street from me, and I'm drinking it out of Old School Benny Oregon State koozie.
Let's go.
So that's making me happy, and it is cold. It is a cold. Got it in the fridge at the penthouse.
Ooh,
which is the best fridge. I'm not going to say what you can do on the floor.
What can you do on the floor, Terry?
That's a Patreon exclusive content.
Nice.
JP.
Yeah.
It looks. I see a cool belligerent beeves koozie around. A cool.
That's my beer.
Cool looking bottle.
That's my beer,
dude. I know we've talked about this a million times, but we should make our own beer.
No, yeah. Well, I did do that. I've done it before, but shout out Portland U Brew is now closed, unfortunately.
Oh no.
Was super cool to be able to go there and make your own beer. I made now I feel
cool.
now I feel it's done, but I made a Killa Clay Kolsch for Clay Thompson, Washington State Cougar. But also this beer is doesn't matter what it is. It's just the koozie of us
Didn't
against the
workshop
world.
that one enough, but
No, but we're back to being us against the world.
it is us against the world.
The best friend week was fun. I would say it was obviously very disappointing. We'll talk
Until
more
the
about
game.
it. Yeah, and I also think like it wasn't so much that it wasn't so much the outcome as disappointing as it was the game. And I think if you look at the box score, you look at the final score, you'll go, well, that was probably a fun one to watch. I'm sure Washington State had a fun time watching, but I sure as hell did not have a fun time.
Yeah. They're all over like Twitter immediately afterwards being like, Oregon State fans are the best.
Yeah.
We're
what
like,
a great
too,
game.
too
It was so
soon.
fun. Right down to the wire.
Shout out to the That's Another Cougar podcast, though. They gave us a nice shout out on their latest episode, and I've had nothing but positive banter with them going back and forth with their Twitter account.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the love.
Yeah.
I appreciate the recognition. I don't appreciate losing in Pullman again. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, not to hijack this point from you, JP. I'm happy that it can just be like okay, and yeah, it's obviously go Cougs the rest of the way, and not have to worry about playing them or trying to get a win in the Tuscany of America because it just feels impossible.
I agree with all of that. The silver lining for me is that it probably came at the right time. Because if both of us were to roll through the conference schedule and come meet each other at 8-0,
that alliance could crumble if we were both 8-0, and it's like one team gets to go to the playoff or some shit like that. The other one just gets to stay home. Yeah. Oh God. Oh wait, JP, what's your beer?
No, that's it. It's just us against the world. That's it. There's no label. There's no brand. Just beer.
Ooh.
It's just beer and a mindset.
Exactly. It's like you're on a 90s sitcom ordering a drink at a bar in a show without a sponsorship. So you just have to say, I'll have a beer, please.
Yeah.
And then just a beer appears. Yeah. It didn't hit me until I was like, I think I didn't notice that until I was like 25 or 26 years old, that people who order drinks on TV are not ordering drinks on TV. Like, wait a minute, he didn't say what kind of beer. Anyway, that's not the point. Benny, are you like drinking just like matcha tea or something? It's something great for your skin or whatever. God, you look so good. I'll stop being weird about this, I promise. But
you're drinking
I appreciate every word. No, I'm drinking Powerade Zero. Aloe vera is just what I imagine someone that Terry thinks that I look like would be drinking. I'm drinking Powerade.
Is hotter than how hot I think Benny might be.
I will take this right now.
And the aloe vera and the Powerade Zero are in the same life hacks as eating Vaseline, like Stefan Marbury.
Wait. All right. We'll have to get into this at a different time. I have not heard this story.
What?
Oh, it's just when like Marbury first got to China, I think.
Yeah.
He was just posting like a lot of videos of himself just talking, which he still does, but he clearly did a few in like a less stable mental state. I think during like the early years, he was still sort of thought of as being in like NBA exile. And there's one of him like shirtless, just talking about whatever and like eating Vaseline.
Well, because he couldn't talk. And his voice was gone. He's like, I'm also going to eat the Vaseline.
Yeah, like the Vaseline would like help revive his throat.
Yeah,
that
and he was like taking goops of Vaseline. It was like,
oh man, that shit gets stuck to the back of your throat. That would suck so bad.
yeah, maybe your throat wouldn't hurt as bad. But anyways,
Maybe.
that
Yeah, so
Powerade Zero, aloe vera.
yeah, so the same company that grows and sells purple Urkel, I got another kind of their strain called G56, and it freaked me out that it was just letters and numbers, like it was some like a
Science
I don't know,
experiment.
some like some government strain or something. It was good.
What dots am I not connecting here?
Yeah.
Government 56 strain.
Yeah.
Look, you can't sue us that this almost killed you. It's right there on the label.
Yeah.
Sorry, you failed fucking chemistry, kid.
Yep.
Well,
That's what it felt like.
Zero, because we give zero fucks
That's right.
about Fox.
Anything right now.
Not Fox
so
for sure. And ESPN.
Cheers to that. Cheers to us. Cheers to the Bees. Cheers to you, Beaver fam. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into this therapy session, boys.
Let's get into this therapy session. The final score, as we've alluded to a couple times, 38-35. Oregon State's comeback bid falls just short on a onside kick that it looked like we might have recovered and definitely did not recover. And I kind of always scoff when some people say a final score was not indicative of the way a game really was, even though I know that that's always a possibility. But whenever that excuse gets used, I almost always think it's wrong. But this didn't really feel like a 3-point loss, and we were in desperation mode, and we had a chance to get back into it and win it towards the end there. Despite mistakes in the fourth quarter that mirrored some of the mistakes early. What I think is the overarching theme and the main takeaway, Benny, this is what you talked about, was Washington State coming out fuego, jumping all over us. We hadn't given up a first half touchdown, and they have 3 super long touchdown drives on their first 3 possessions. We're making Cam Ward look like a Heisman candidate. He's the same guy who we didn't give a fucking inch to last year at Reeser. And Ward had a real up and down year last year. He's shown plenty of talent before, but it was just like we were playing early 2000s USC on offense in that first quarter. Like they were just unstoppable. And I don't think we've seen our defense look that vulnerable on consecutive possessions for a really long time.
A really long time.
And I think that kind of put everyone in a state of shell shock. And even though we came up with a couple of turnovers and got the game a lot closer, I think that's the lingering feeling with everyone. And that on defense, we'll get into offensive issues too, but I think we should focus on defense. To start.
Yeah, I mean that game, you brought it up that hasn't happened in a really long time. The game where I feel like we just look unprepared or underprepared, and having it show as much as it did. The last game that happened was USC in the Coliseum. And the silver lining to that is Alex Austin had a stinker of a game and he came back and now he's playing in the NFL. And that's what I expect from Bray going forward. Is he needs to fix some of the issues that he created. I'm no coach, but it seemed like we were giving their receivers a cushion that showed a respect to Cam Ward, like he had already won the Heisman. And look, like their receivers, Cam Ward balled out. Like it doesn't, the schematics. I said this on Twitter or X, like we can have a bad half as a secondary or a defense as a whole, but specifically the secondary, and have Cam Ward and the receivers ball the fuck out, and both of those things happen.
Yeah, I think across the board we give a lot of credit to Wazoo here. Like they look
totally.
good. Like this isn't just we sucked and that's the only reason. Like they're good, but yeah.
But it was a combination of poor schematics, I felt, and a lack of execution. The amount of arm tackles that we had where they were just steamrolling us in the first half. It almost looked like we weren't ready for that moment. And then like it snapped at halftime, but that first half just looked like we were asleep at the wheel.
Yeah. I mean, when they come out and they punch you in the mouth the way they did with the deep ball that Ward threw, that was just bad prep.
Yeah.
I think as simple as that.
Missed assignment.
But it was maybe even I think a lot of people talked about it. I don't like to say like, oh, we're getting completely outcoached, or that these coaches clearly exposed our coaches, etc., because there are a million different scenarios that coaches are planning for. Sometimes you miss them. It happens. Sometimes you get lucky because you plan to do something and it works. And but Washington State did that, and they set a tone, and it set a tone for Ward, which I think is the most important part, because he knew he could pick the defense apart. And I think that the defense felt, oh crap, we can get picked apart right now.
Yep.
And then compound that with Cam Ward is a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. And some of the balls that he threw were phenomenal. And some of the catches that those wide receivers made were also phenomenal.
That one-hander by Josh Kelly with, I believe it was McCoy, was in perfect coverage.
Yeah,
exactly. When he caught that, I was like, it's just
their day.
Like,
what do you do?
It's just their day.
But he felt that way, and he was confident to make that throw, and he probably made a better throw because he knew he was getting away with pretty much whatever he wanted in the first half. I mean, he had one incompletion. So I think it was a perfect storm, but the tone was set from that first drive, and I think that was a lack of preparation and just the other coaches being more prepared for how to get under our skin defensively, how to set the tone, and then how to make us play on our heels the rest of the game, which is exactly why we're sitting soft on the wide receivers on the defensive side. Yeah. It's exactly why we were giving Ward the Cordero treatment, and he wasn't even running. He's just elusive. But we were still being like, we can't rush him because he's so elusive. He'll run right past us. And I think part of that was just we were sitting soft, scared. We didn't know how to prepare for this. We didn't know where to lay our cards, I guess, is kind of the big thing. Like, hey, fine. If we stop Ward from running and he makes a play with his arm, all right. Like, that's on him. Good job. If we stop Ward from throwing deep and he makes a play with his legs, good on him. We didn't neither. And I think that's my biggest problem with this game. There was nothing that we were putting our cards on the table for and being like, make him beat us. Instead, it was like, just don't get beat by anything he can do or what he might do. And it was okay in the second half, but that first half, and especially that first drive, set the tone, and it gave them the edge. It gave them the confidence. There was no going back after that drive. There was no going back.
I just wanted to piggyback off one of your points where when you said that Bray, it seemed like there was like a lack of trust almost with some of the position groups. I think that was a huge turning point in the second half, where in the first half, I don't think he trusted the DB, specifically the corners, right?
Yep.
Like we were giving them cushion, we were running zone, and there's a lot more man being ran in that second half. Like he finally was like, I have to trust the corners. And to their credit, they came through in the second half.
Yeah, but maybe they would have done it in the first half. So
exactly 100%.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, all I play is Madden. I don't go out there coaching real football games and making adjustments against real people. But what I do know is, like, you can make those kind of adjustments when you realize, like, hey, I'm playing this scheme and we're getting burned. Well, what's the choice? Let's play the completely opposite scheme and see how it goes, right? It can't get any worse. And that's essentially the adjustment that it was. And I'm not saying that Bray isn't good at making adjustments. I think he's a phenomenal defensive coordinator. But I think that they were outfoxed from the get-go, and then he made the adjustment. Washington State was ready for this like soft zone type defense, and they were going to run these different plays and get guys to bite and get guys open, and it worked. It worked, and it set the tone. Again, when you feel like you're going to get beat on plays, what else are you going to do as a defense? Like, and the quarterback keeps executing, you're going to feel like you're going to get beat every time. And Cam Ward did that. He held up his end of, see, I can beat you every time, and our defense held up their end of being like, shit, we're getting beat every time. What do we do?
Yeah, I think something I've been thinking of since the game finished last night is that I think Oregon State, sort of in these last now 2+ years, since we really turned the page towards being a winning football team has shown is Oregon State is a team that will come out and hit you in the mouth, especially as an underdog. We were favored in this game. I'm not saying that, whatever. But I think hitting back, like
for sure.
Wazoo got the first punch in. And I think that's something that we've been able to pride ourselves on, especially in the Smith era. Like we said, we're trying to find games where we started this poorly in games that we should have been winning. Yeah. And like even the comeback against Oregon last year, like the start of the game, like we stopped them a few times in the start and had a lead in the second quarter and forced them off the field a few times. Like there hasn't been too many starts like this. And so I think when we take the first blow and then have to hit back as like the team that maybe in this game, I think toss up, but we're going to start taking these shots as a team that was ranked in the preseason, still is ranked, by the way, for whatever it's worth, but is getting a little more like respect, especially in these games where coming up, like we play number 10 Utah on Friday, but when we play these unranked teams like Cal, Arizona, Stanford, some of those games where they're going to come in and feel like the team that's not getting a fair shake of it. Whether any of that is true or any like perceived bulletin board material is real doesn't really matter. Because we have like taken the step from being like a bottom feeder punching up to trying to compete for that top level. And in this last year of the conference, be a true conference championship contender. And we're going to start taking huge shots from teams early because they know how good we are. They know how good the defense is, and they're going to have to start fast. And we're going to have to either shut those shots down or know how to hit back. And it's just in a rebuild. I know we don't want to say we're still rebuilding, and because I don't think we are. But that's such a hard place to get to from where you start. And we're just not used to being in that position, really. Because even last year, it was like, I know we're watching every single game and we're in on it and talking about the views every day. But that team has been referred to as one of the quieter 10-win college football teams ever. And I think it was that. There wasn't a lot of shine or light cast onto a first quarter of football games, especially one in week 4, like there was on Saturday. So I think we showed a lot of toughness and a lot of fortitude and got back into it, but we need to learn how to hit back quicker when that situation comes up. And that's just an opportunity we haven't had much of in the last, fucking since 2021 started.
One thing that I think is important to bring up, look, like we talked about the defense, they deserve the shots that are being shot at them right now with questioning how they played in the first half. But we talk about needing to have something to wake the team up, whether that's a change in schematics or something else. I believe it was Mascarenas Arnold that had that giant hit as the Wazoo receiver was coming over the middle.
Oh, yeah.
That huge hit. That's when things seem to change for the defense. And I just want to give him credit for doing that, because I think sometimes like good players, leaders of teams understand that it takes something like that. Yeah. And so that was a really good sign. I think, the team was waiting for something like that to happen. I hope they can grow from this and maybe understand next time that they don't need something like that they can turn it around.
Yeah, I think it's like a lead by example thing, right? I mean, it's a confidence thing. It's a momentum swing, and you, as a leader, when your team needs direction and they maybe don't feel bought in on what the coaches are calling for them, you have to be the guy who's out there and says, this is the play call. This is how you execute it. And here I am going 110% and making a statement out of it. And so, yeah, I agree. I think that those kind of plays hopefully will continue to instill confidence in this defense. I mean, it's in a sense like the defensive backs are essentially a brand new unit, all of them. Like it's like this is their first foray into like being thrown out there to be the guys. Yeah. And this was their first real test.
Yeah, for
sure.
So
I'm not trying to read too far into it, but I do think that there's, and Terry, you touched on this, like there are two trends that worry me, and one is. I think Bray typically calls a really, really good game. He has his team usually very prepared, but when he doesn't, we end up losing a half, if not the whole game, due to it's hard to make an adjustment like mid half, but like because of what he leaned into schematically. On the flip side, as you alluded to, we've never had the opportunity or the challenge presented to us to have to come back offensively. And
Yeah.
Lindgren is building an offense around the running game, and rightfully so. It's really, really hard to draw up a play to punch someone in the mouth again, or as like a reactionary punch for a 70-yard run. It just it's not that straightforward. You could be methodical, which our offense very much is, and drive downfield. But if you stall and you have to punt, or you maybe ill-advisedly go for it on fourth down, or whatever it might be.
We'll get into a couple of those.
Yeah.
I know they're coming up.
Methodical drive, primarily made of dump passes and rushing, doesn't really flip the field for you in confidence and momentum. So we need to have Lindgren needs to be able to have something up his sleeve that says, like, all right, if somebody comes out and we deferred for the fourth time straight now this season.
Yeah.
We won the coin toss. We deferred to the second half. We gave the team the ball. But the other three opponents weren't going to score and us be like, uh-oh, how do we come back from this now? On their first drive. This was the first time that it happened, and we saw what they did. They came out with a very vanilla drive. It was a very vanilla drive. It was not like Dame had a great run. The credit to him, it was like, uh-oh, all right, yeah. Swing him back. Let's do this. And then it just was like, it just puttered out. So we need to be able to come back, if we're going to defer especially, and give the other team the ball, and they're going to punch us in the mouth, which is potentially likely to happen a lot the rest of this way. We need to have something written up that's just ready for that. To be like, fine, you have an electric play, we got one too. And it's going to work, because it's the only time we're going to use it. But I just didn't see that, and I felt like there was no urgency around that, and that kind of made me a little worried, to be honest.
Well, I think with Lindgren, I mean, Beaver Twitter was blowing up with how bad of a game that was called. I don't necessarily buy into that a whole lot. Now, there were certainly calls, as you guys alluded to, the fourth down call. I was actually for that when they were doing it, but I get why people were frustrated by it. I think, honestly, it was a little bit of bad luck. Ball didn't bounce our way, but a lot of just execution that wasn't, or a lot of plays that just weren't executed. Like, and look, like before I jump into this, I just want to have a disclaimer. Like, I am not dogging on the players. I think they all played ultimately really good games. But I just do want to point out, like, Dame had one pass and one pitch where he just didn't look the ball in. DJ was missing some reads. I mean, not just missing passes, but there were some plays where you're like, dude, like there was one play where it's like there was no one within 15 yards of goal, and he had an easy touchdown. He just wasn't making the reads. So look, like our running game is set up to be top 5 in the country. We have the backs to do it. Fenwick proved that. I mean, we all know how good Damian is. Fenwick proved that we just have a stable full of running backs, and our O-line's amazing. And so, but if you can't set up the passing game, like, it's just going to be like it was last year. The thing that I came taking away with offense is I think there's a lot of promise in the way we played, but you can't take those shots and get down by 3 scores in the second half, because even though the offense did step it up and executed it a lot better in the second half, we got the ball with 6:30 left and ended up scoring with like under 2 minutes left. Those are just things that, like, you have to speed things up a little bit quicker, and we have to have the passing game to do that. And I want to say I'm not somebody who's able to see the receivers on TV. Like, if I'm not there, I can't see what kind of separation they got from the line. I don't know what it looked like when DJ looked their way. But what I do feel like is, like, there's got to be some play calling to get these receivers open, and it can't just be a dump pass. Because there's really defensively, what's the difference of that in a run? If we're expecting us to only throw to the line of scrimmage, why is that any different than the defense only expecting us to run past the line of scrimmage? It doesn't make a difference defensively for these teams if they can just sit there and crowd the box, crowd the line of scrimmage, and wait and not give you separation, because they know that you're not going to run deep, or you're not going to throw deep. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say what it is. I thought that DJ had a couple looks deep and a lot of time on a few of them, and something didn't look right for him. And I don't know what his rationale was, but he didn't throw it, and that's okay. He did a couple times dump it off, and that was probably the right call at that point, especially as the play lingered on.
But what I'll say about DJ is like the man's got the arm strength, he's got the skill.
Yeah.
He might be IQ wise one of our top quarterbacks maybe ever. I think he sees the game differently than a lot of people, but I think that might play to his detriment sometimes when maybe I'm just being assumptive here that our receivers aren't getting the separation or the play calling isn't getting the receivers into open space. And DJ, as a smart quarterback, is holding, waiting, and you see it. You can see that the pocket's collapsing around him. The offensive line has done more than their fair share that they need to do. And he'll either last ditch throw it away or throw it into somewhere where no one's going to get it, or he'll just dump it off. And I think though, because he might be now ingraining in his own head, these guys have a tough time getting open for me for whatever reason. And he might just be planning to not make a mistake versus make the throw. And we've gone both ways with quarterbacks for Oregon State. It's hard. We've had the guys who don't plan for the making mistake. They don't care. They throw the ball. It's a mistake, and everyone's frustrated. And now I think we've got a guy who's swinging the pendulum the opposite way, and he's like, I'm not going to make a mistake. I'm not going to make a mistake. But he's almost overthinking that or thinking it too early because the experience is lending to that, and now we just don't make the throw. I mean, I think the one time it looked like he forced the throw, it was a pick. It was the deep ball that was a pick. And that was the only time that he looked uncomfortable throwing the ball.
I thought he looked uncomfortable most of the night.
Yes, but not uncomfortable with a clean throw.
It just needs to be said that this was the second game in a row that the defense we were facing brought pressure outside of just rushing four. And it felt like, if I have one criticism of Lindgren, is these last two games, it's that I think San Diego State came out with an idea of like, if we have a chance at hell winning this game, we're going to have to disrupt the DJ. And I think they disrupted the downfield passing game a little bit, and it didn't matter just because we were better than them in every other category. I think Wazoo did some similar stuff. And even when there was plays, like you mentioned, Jay, there was a lot of clean pockets that he had. But they brought in corner blitzes, different exotic, fronts and people rushing from different places. Where there is times where we had more guys rushing than we had blocking in certain areas. And I don't think it was the O-line's best game. And it just kind of felt like there was no like great continuity for him to get into a rhythm. So I think there's the template to beat Oregon State was set before this game, and Wazoo was like, we're going to try and bring pressure on DJ and really test their secondary when we were on offense. Yep. And both things worked, because I think like Benny, you mentioned the one fourth down call that I think ended up being a great call. If Damian catches that little dump off on 4th and 1 that DJ overthrew, like he's probably still running. Like he was in acres of space, and it's hard to just look at that and be like, oh, that was DJ's fault, or that was Dame's fault, or that was the offensive line's fault. But also there was a sense of urgency in that play, but there was also like a profound level of like discomfort in the way we were running that play, that it just didn't inspire as much confidence as we've come to expect from this team. And that just kind of loomed over the whole game.
Yeah. I was going to say, even if you're throwing a clean game, incompletions are bound to happen. Unless you're Cam Ward, then maybe they don't.
Unless you're Cam Ward and you're the greatest quarterback of all time, right, which is a take that we might be endorsing at this time. I think it's just sorry, but that was just like the way he missed Dame on that play and a couple other things. Like that was kind of the one sort of chalk up in San Diego State. And it's like, maybe these guys still aren't on the same page, and they're still playing together for the first time and learning each other. And that could be a big part of the problem.
I think another reason why it's so frustrating is like the talent that's on this team is unmatched. I mean, in my opinion, this team is quite a bit better than last year's team. And last year's team was the best team we'd had in a very long time. And it was like, you're playing a top 20 school on the road, and you have what felt like just a lot of mistakes in the first half. And a lot of missed opportunities. We talked about it in the spaces, but the personal foul blocking the guy when he was already on the ground. I know you guys both, and I think like looking at it from your guys' perspective, I think I would say I take I would question that call as well. But a series of misfortunate, right, the series of misfortunate events, and we only lost by 3. Like that's what was frustrating, is like if any of those go our way, it feels like that outcome is different. Or how, like, think about it like this, and I forget who I saw tweeted this, but it really brings things into perspective of we were one doink of the field goal away from.
I was waiting until we could talk about the bank shot field goal where
the non-Seabass related Janikowski almost allowed us to have a chance.
When that went in, it was just like they're just gonna win this game no matter what. Yeah. Like when you get the bank shot field goal to go through the uprights.
And that reverberation echoed to Portland. It was so loud.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but you hear the excuses of that same thing, but the field goal is like in the first quarter and it was 10-3 or whatever.
Right. And it's we lost by 3. It's like this was at the end.
This was the last points that they scored. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and so my point is, like, all of that happens against the top 20 team on the road, and you still, like, I mean, you had a chance to win that game. That just shows how fucking good this Oregon State football team is.
It also shows how good the Washington State team is. Let's be real.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah. Credit where credit's due. We've alluded to it, but I think we should outright be like, this team is underrated. Maybe more so than we thought that we might have been.
The next hour-long segment is Cam Ward him? Is he that dude? Is
Cam
he one
Ward
of those
for
ones or all of the above? This is now a Cam Ward podcast. But yeah, Ben, I think like the game was that close, and we had a chance there at the end with a long list of self-inflicted unforced errors.
Yeah,
that's why it doesn't really like sort of sit well. And is going to be frustrating all week.
We got one on the wait. We got one on the docket though. I think we have to talk about in the same vein. That onside kick.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going, JP.
That read your mind.
Early, you read my mind. Stop it. You know,
I knew you were going to say stop it.
Onside kick. That it felt like a premature onside kick, and then I think we can sort of group the multiple fourth down calls in something I did think was interesting. But I even remembered us arguing about this 2 years ago. The last time we lost at Pullman, there was that fake punt where at midfield where Loescher threw the ball to Zariah Beeson and it just missed, and the game kind of flipped in that moment. And we argued the merits of calling a fake punt or whatever in that situation. This week, before the game, Jonathan Smith said he may have regretted that call in that game in 2021. And then in this game, there's the 4th and short DJ overthrow to Martinez in the flat that we alluded to. There was the call to go for it on 4th and 7, I think in the second quarter, maybe the third quarter. That just kind of felt weird. And then there was the onside kick early in the fourth quarter when we had all of our timeouts. Yeah. So I was watching those and I'm like, do you really regret the fake punt you called 2 years ago in Pullman? And we're not analytics nerds or anything like that. So I know there's arguments to be made on like both sides. I think the 4th and 7 call was the one where I was like, this just kind of feels like we're not in a position to convert this. And I think the defense had started playing better.
We were moving the ball, and we had a series of penalties that kept on getting us back. So I think the confidence of getting 7 yards was there, but it was at the 50-yard line or maybe even on our side of the field.
Right. But so, Benny, you said you did like the fourth down calls, and I just wanted to, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't or you're wrong, but just like, is it more like just the aggressiveness, the plays in particular where, I mean, the Dame play, like, it was fucking there, and the connection just didn't get made.
I like a coach that is willing to put his trust in his players, and I think that's what Smith was ultimately doing, both in the offense of getting it, but also going for it on your own side of the field does show faith in the defense too. And a fourth down call is always like the typical thing where you love the call and it's a gutsy coach if you get it, and it's a bonehead call if you don't.
Sure.
So obviously it didn't go our way, but I do like in general being more aggressive with those calls.
But what about the first onside kick?
Yeah, that I totally disagree with. I really don't. And it's easy to say that with hindsight being 2020 of seeing how DJ and the offense were able to drive down the field 99 yards. But it's like, if you didn't and the defense still stopped them, then that's a lot.
We'd be driving 50 or 60, and the 2 minutes that we needed are
but
there.
It's almost the opposite of what he did with those fourth down calls. It's like he's not putting the faith in his defense of stopping them on their end of the field. So it didn't seem like that call went with the calls that were being made earlier in the game.
And it's almost irresponsible to group the two things together. They are both aggressive play calls, but the percent chance of you converting a 4th and 7 when you're on a bad, we're averaging like 5.5 yards per play, and it was a bad day for the offense. Yeah. Like, you're probably looking at a 20 to 30, 35% success rate. And just the success rate of successfully recovering onside kicks is so much lower than that. Yeah. And the one thing I joked about this during the game was that looked like ASAP's first competitive onside kick at the college level, which it was, I think, unless he's been in there for onside kicks in place of Hayes. I'm not sure on that. And then when it worked out to that we're still in the game and doing another onside kick, I was like, well, at least he's in the rhythm of like doing onside kicks now. Yeah. And our hands team is there. And the second one, despite not going 10 yards, it was kind of one of those like awkward little wobblers where the Wazoo kid probably could have just let it sit and it may not have reached 10 yards, but also you don't want to be the hands team person who just lets it sit and then it
has it kicked right at you.
That's where it is. Like onside kicks. Like honestly, when you start applying logic to onside kicks, you're like, wait, why does this play actually exist in any kind of competitive sport at all?
Because mistakes happen. That's honestly the only reason.
Right. Yeah. It's like, so I guess that might be, and I haven't watched Smith's comments to the media since the game. I'm guessing there'll be more press conferences and posts this week where he'll talk about it, but I'm sure he'll say like we had faith in Atticus and our hands team to come up with a play there and we just didn't execute or whatever.
He did after the game.
Yeah. So it's like it just felt weird. It felt like we had kind of flipped the switch a little bit and we there's a gradual slope that might be good enough to win. And this just felt like we got to the final table at the World Series of Poker and then went all in on the first hand after getting to the final table.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I just thought of that off the top of my head.
Nice job. Nice. You didn't write that one down? You didn't have AI write that one for you?
No. AI doesn't write any of my shit. It transcribes shit for me.
There you go.
That's it.
Well, I just want to say it's funny because like the 4th down calls I had no problem with. There were some of them that I didn't like. I didn't mind going for it, but I didn't like the play call.
Right.
I think the part of it though that's I think hard to swallow is when you compound that with the early premature onside attempts. It was very clear that Smith would have rather given Ward and Wazoo a short field to save clock because they were gonna score anyways, and that was his mindset. And that's the part I don't know if I really feel all that comfortable with. I don't think you do that unless you don't have the faith that your defense isn't going to just let them control the clock and march the ball downfield if you give them enough yardage and time to do so. So I think all of that was to make the field shorter to flip it back to our side if and when they get something. Like a field goal even. A field goal attempt. Missed field goal attempt. That's honestly what they didn't punt the ball. The only time they did, they went for it and they got it.
And there was no one. That's one play I had a gripe with. It was a fake punt, and that kid caught it, and just no one was anywhere in the vicinity to do anything about it. That play infuriated me.
Yep, but I have no problem with going 4 on 4th on the road, all in.
And we almost got the missed field goal. They had missed a field goal earlier. And that one should have missed.
Yeah, it looked like it was going wide left.
It did. It looked like it was doing, a little helicopter
and out. A little bit of that magic Coug Tuscany of America wind that came in just at the last minute, blowing it straight at the upright so that it hit it just so to fucking ricochet off of it and
hit Butch T. Cougar.
Butch T. Cougar in the face.
I thought you were going to say it was going to be the wind going, cooged it.
There is so many moments where it looked like they were going to coog it, and they just never cooged it. And they've cooged it against Oregon so many times, and I take that as a personal offense and a sign that they're not taking this alliance seriously enough. If they coog it against the Ducks again this year, we might have to rethink this Pac-2 shit. I'm just kidding, of course, but that is frustrating.
I know we want to look at optimism and whatnot, but
Yay!
I do want to say, and this maybe is, I want to spin this on optimism, so don't take this pessimistically. But I do love that the team's been mixing in Hodgins at the fullback position.
You got to catch that. I thought there was a chance that 2.5 over under Isaac Hodgins touchdown count was going to come into play on Saturday.
And I said that I don't think that's going to be the only time we see him line up, but what I really like is watching DJ feel like this is a designed quarterback run. Yeah. I'm going to just fake the D and go and find a hole, pummel through it, and just go. Fake the D and find a hole, Terry. That's how.
I'm sorry for laughing. That was. There's nothing wrong with that.
I have
analysis,
3 children.
JP. I'm just a child.
I have 3 children, and you are one of them.
I'm the 35-year-old toddler you never had.
Yeah, exactly. But what I really want to see is this. I would love to see DJ get more design runs like that. Yeah. I thought that there was a lot of creativity from Washington State and Dickert out there putting Ward off to the running back position. Though I don't really know why that play was legal. I was trying to figure that out where they handed it off to Ward
and then backup quarterback Mateer. I believe, yeah.
And Mateer, and then he handed it off like a running play to Ward, and then Ward. I know he's behind line of scrimmage, but like it was still.
I haven't rewatched it. Right. Well, you can throw off of a handoff. It just depends on how the line is blocking. Like if they're downfield, you can't throw it
off the handoff. All right, so maybe that's where
they must have stayed within the designated.
Well, if they knew that was the play call, yeah. But I would love to see some creativity like that from Oregon State. Yeah. Give me DJ on 3rd and 3, and sure. but put Aiden back there at quarterback.
Well, because they clearly don't have a replacement for the Coletto package, and there is never going to be just a clean replacement for it. Jack Coletto is a once in a lifetime kind of player.
But DJ can do that.
DJ can do those. He can do those things, and that was something in Dashiell's takeaways. It's like it's the short yardage. Whether it be goal to go or 3rd and short, 4th and short, there's not the same confidence and there's not the same identity. But DJ can get north and south in the same way that Coletto did. And I know it's like you don't want to put your starting quarterback on a railroad freight train going head on.
But are we all in or not? Are we all in on the season or not? Like that's the point.
And he can make those plays. And
he will make all those plays.
And he can protect himself. And like I'm saying, I know it's irresponsible to like make, all pro NFL type like comparisons, but when the dude runs, he literally looks like Dante Culpepper. Like I'm getting like flashbacks to my childhood, and it's just like he takes up so much space, and it's even like
you can't.
Dante was so big. It's like 3rd and short. It's just like if I fall forwards, I get the first down.
Yeah, I'm already 3 yards tall.
Right.
Not really.
And it just seems like that's a way too, where it's like if you have kind of like a run pass option or like a quick hitter like type of thing when they're bringing pressure. Where if it's just like, all right, I'm going to see it. Because a lot of this pressure has come from outside of the defensive ends. It's been either a backer or a corner lining up in the slot and trying to get deep in the pocket and disrupting it. Where if like DJ sees that, it's like, all right, well, I'm going to step up and just go north-south, and I'm going to take the 4 or 5 yards that are there. And that's something that I think we just haven't totally tapped into.
Yeah, and I think, man, the Coletto package. So Jack Coletto as a player, it was huge, and Jack Coletto as a player is a fucking beast. Like
Terry is sweating.
That dude wanted it so hard.
Here,
but part of the reason why it was so successful is because teams truly didn't know if he was going to pass it or run it. Right, like he was a quarterback, but he was also a fullback
or hand it off.
And we had a quarterback that I don't think most of the Beaver fam had a ton of confidence in, a ton of respect for, yes, but not a ton of confidence in. And now you have it set up. I think DJ could be a better version, a better Jackhammer than the original Jackhammer.
Yeah.
Right?
And because no disrespect to Jackhammer.
No, not at all. But DJ.
That's when you can triple stamp a double stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you, like you said, JP, if you can do some combination with Aiden and DJ and have DJ behind center and Aiden set up as a receiver, and you have the defense scratching their head, super confused of, is it going to be an end around with Aiden? Is he going to pass it to Aiden and throw it?
Behind the quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm no coach. I haven't played football since I was in high school. I don't play Madden.
7th grade.
I'm not a coach either, but I'm pretty sure you can put two quarterbacks out there, have one of them throw a fake ball and another one throw a real ball, and the defense has to decide between the two balls which one's the real ball. I think that's still allowed in the rules.
Man, I don't know. I've never heard anyone say this before, but it does seem like there is this sort of conscious thought that if you run gimmicky plays, that somehow makes you lesser of a team, right? Like if you're running gimmicky plays, that means that you can't beat a team the traditional way. But that's not true. And you have the tools to run not gimmicky plays, but plays that are designed to execute in multiple different ways. Like, read options, but with two quarterbacks on the field.
Or I don't know, like the Coletto package where he was only in there to take it as a wildcat snap and run for 1 to 3 yards. Every time. It was the most predictable play call in college football, maybe all of football.
It was very predictable. Yes. And somehow and predictably almost always worked.
But that's why I think that DJ lining up in a similar way, if you throw in a little bit of creativity with who's lined up with him, who's out there with him, is Aiden there as a quarterback, potentially taking a lateral to throw it deep or to run it on like a fly sweep. Like, imagine DJ taking this direct snap. Everyone thinks he's running up the middle, but then he tosses it to an Aiden on a fly sweep who finds a Gould who is burning the defensive back that bit on the fly sweep, and Aiden's arm will make that throw.
Or is running man on Gould, and Aiden has 20-yard run.
Yes,
exactly.
So see, this is why I was so good at Madden Wii, because you could draw your own plays with the Wii mote.
Put us in the booth on Friday night, Lindgren.
Yeah, so much. Forget the tryouts, the open tryouts. We're here for coaching.
We will beat Utah.
I saw a lot of, no, I shouldn't say a lot. I saw some people saying, we should pull DJ, blah, blah, blah. Look, DJ I don't agree with that either. I think DJ had a fine game, probably subpar for him. He had a fine game, but if we're down by 3 scores, I would like to see Aiden in there next time. I think DJ is DJ is the exact quarterback that we want if we're up 3 scores or if we're up 2 scores in the second half. I don't think that there is a team that could come back on DJ if we're up 2 scores in the second half because he's so methodical.
Yes, and he's very in control. Totally.
Yes, very in control. But if we're down 3 scores, we need to pick shit up quick. And I don't think that it's quarterback by committee if you run it that way. But I think if you have a system set up of, okay, guys, we're down by 2 or 3 scores in the second half. Now we're running offense B. And that offense B is led by Aiden Childs. And it has a different schematics to it. And we have to get him in the game when it's,
And I understand
such a new element.
Yeah. And I think the element that we're all missing right now is risk aversion. When you're 18 years old and someone hands you the keys to the kingdom, you're not thinking I'm gonna blow this. I can't blow this. You're thinking, hell yeah, let's ride, baby. That's your mindset because you have nothing to lose and everything.
You have all the time in the world to change that narrative around if you don't do well.
And DJ, of course, he's rightfully trying to make sure that his name is remembered the way that it deserves to be, and that he believes and his family believes that it deserves to be as well. And not to say that he's not taking risks because of that, but hey, we need to do something different. And it's only that. I mean, that's the key linchpin is we need to do something different now because we're down. And DJ, we don't want you to go out there and have to try to be a different quarterback. So now let's have a different quarterback because that's what it is. There's 2 people. They're different. So when there's a different quarterback out there and that quarterback is 18 and they're like, go young gun, do your thing. What's there to lose other than totally flipping the script on the defense and their game plan, and also allowing another very, very highly skilled and talented quarterback to see what they got. And I'm in agreement. I'm not saying that we should ever. I really don't like the idea of benching a quarterback midseason. I don't because if you name him the starter as a coach, you wrote your name on that. That's your call. You write it out. You figure it out.
Yeah.
If there's injury, I don't like also letting quarterbacks take over the role from an injury or any position really, but like sometimes it's an injury that opens a door and it happens. But I really love that idea that you proposed, Benny, of like, hey, if we're down, why not? Why not like let everybody kind of stay in their zone and see what happens?
I like that too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for that, though, I don't see another loss, nor do I see us ever trailing again, at least in this calendar year of 2023. We need to move on a little bit. Friday Night Lights.
Oh, guess what? It's on FS1.
It's on FS1.
Fuck you, Fox. I have beef right now, man.
Of course we.
No, I got real beef.
We'll just chat a little bit about the game, and then do you want to unpack your beef, or do you want to keep it packed up, airtight in the freezer, and bring it up later?
No, I gotta let it out now.
I gotta let it out
right now.
Okay, so we do.
Tease Friday. Go ahead.
Number 19, Oregon State hosting number 10 Utah. Beavs open as 1.5 point favorites, which I do think is a sign of respect from whoever in Vegas is doing that. And obviously they've watched Oregon State football play at Reser a little bit. The only game in the last 14 home games we've lost was that 17-14 heartbreaker to Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams and current Minnesota Viking Jordan Addison that you guys saw in person in Corvallis last year. We've played really good at home. The last time we played Utah at home was a great victory. Maybe even is like that game in 2021. I haven't rewatched it super recently, but low key may have been Smith's actually wire to wire most impressive win as a coach, because that was a really good Utah team and we still were a little bit of an unknown, and beating Utah for 42-34 was a pretty big moment for that 2021 team.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a big game. It's nationally televised on FS1 on Friday night. I'm feeling good that we'll bounce back and play well. We still don't know if Cam Rising will play for Utah. It was whispered that he might play against UCLA this past weekend.
Yeah.
He was a late scratch. Utah beat UCLA 14-7. It'll be a tough game, but I think we come out on top. So let's you two share a couple things about this Friday, and then JP will let you go off on what.
Dope.
I want to go off too.
Yeah, join me. Thank you.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about actual.
You Big Ten country impartial bastard out there.
I'm not impartial.
I'm muting you. Yep. Yeah, and you're mute. All right. Yes, I love this Tony reality type shit.
You have to unmute me for the laugh. There needs to be
don't matter.
Yeah.
I went to you to talk a little bit about actual Oregon State versus Utah before eviscerating Fox, which I'm always happy to do. But you're going to be at the game.
Yeah, I'll be at the game. I decided last minute, all right, I'm going to go to the game. It was one of those ones can I get to it after work? And, I'm going to just have to block my calendar because I'm going to take both the two oldest mini bebes and do a quick round tripper to the game. So I'll be there. Shout out Big Game Boomer. He'll be there. Hell
yeah.
Yeah, I will hopefully try to snap a pic with him and introduce ourselves in person, which will be fun when I'm having two little kids in tow. But yeah, I felt like this is a game I had to be at because it's so critical now. I thought that maybe this could have been a game that we ride a high after a victory, a very emotional victory in Pullman that we could have gotten caught in and taken an L. But now I think we can't. And I want to see how this team responds. I have to see with my own two eyes the entire field. I think is important for me for understanding what's working, what's not. And I don't care what's not working if we win. So if I'm there and we win, great. If I'm there and we don't, I'll be really upset. But I'll also be able to see it with my own eyes and know maybe what is happening and draw my own conclusions from that. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to be there. I got tickets. if you're coming down for the Friday night showdown, let's meet up. Let me know. I do want to say I'm eager to see how the storyline unfolds because obviously there was a very massive bump in the road last season for us playing against Utah at Utah. It felt like one of those, oh no, like this season's derailing moments in a way.
But our breakfast with the Bebes Instagram live that day was fun.
It was fun.
And then a really weird game happened after that.
Yes. And the last time that I was at the game, the last time Utah rolled into Corvallis, and that was like a week after Aaron Lowe was killed. So they were also riding an emotional roller coaster, and were playing in their first game, I believe, since that happened.
I think you're right.
This is to me like, I mean, I hope Rising plays. I do. I had to explain this to my kid yesterday because he was saying, well, if everyone just gets injured, then they have no one good left on their team, and then we'll win. So why don't we just want everyone to get injured? And obviously, it's a very logical thought, and I think most of us kind of think that in the back of our heads, like, oh, well, that might help us out if that, if this is a big injury. But there's also something to be said about like really knowing what kind of team you've got. You don't want to like sneak W's and just be like, oh, well, we sucked that one out because their starting quarterback got hurt.
Go at Rising again.
It'd be great to go after Rising. And also, it would be great to see a team come in without some like very emotional low weighing on their shoulders on a road game in Corvallis. So I think it's a toss-up game, and I think that the line reflects that. And also, I'm very excited to be at it. But fuck you, Fox.
Yeah, man. I feel really confident about this game, especially if Rising doesn't play. I mean, obviously there are a lot of things that can go wrong for a player that is coming back from an ACL injury for the first game. But if you look at their game against UCLA, and I would say the common opponent is San Diego State, and UCLA had a better outcome in terms of points, but I think we both played similarly against San Diego State. And against UCLA, Nate Johnson, who is the replacement for Cam Rising, was 9 of 17 for 107 yards. I'm not saying that he's going to have the same game in Corvallis, but I am saying that it's clear that the Utah coaching staff probably doesn't have all the confidence in the world with
They're
him.
Not working with their full playbook, for sure.
No, because they also, their starting running back, Jalen Glover, had 25 carries. So if there's one facet of the defense that OSU excels in, it's the running. It's against
Wazoo didn't even really try to run on us.
No,
part of that was they didn't need to because Ward was just outstanding. Yeah, but I do think if we're talking just about sort of like optimism, it's like we will control the ground game on both sides of the ball in all likelihood in just about every matchup we have going forward, even against the Utah team that does have road graders and is strong and tough in the trenches. I think if it turns into ground and pound game that's decided with 3 yards and a cloud of dust kind of mentality, I think that favors us, especially playing at home.
Yeah, I mean, you want to look at this through a very optimistic view, right? For all the reasons that we talked about with OSU really struggling to execute in a lot of ways against Washington State and still coming within 3. You like to think that they get those things shored up. You like to think that they work on a way to get DJ maybe a little bit more pass protection. But I think the matchup from a position group is in our favor. I don't know how UCLA was able to run the ball, but I think that we have what is arguably the best running offense in the conference, at least, and that sets up really well against this Utah team. But it's also, and I think more importantly than all the stats, it's going to be Friday night, first week of classes. Reeser, brand new
Reeser. Going to be lit.
It's going to be lit in orange light a lot because of all the touchdowns we're going to be scoring. But that place going, like, one thought that kept replaying in my head, when the stadium was being built, is this going to be like an orange hell for the other team? And this is the start of the revenge tour. Look, like San Diego State, Cal Poly, Washington State, San Jose State, none of them had anything to do with the position we are in right now. Everyone else we're playing from here on out had an active part of it. So this is the start of the revenge tour.
This is a true start of the revenge tour.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not
JP,
calling
cut this one as one of the special social tags.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do beat them by 3 scores, just because of all the energy that's going to be in that stadium. And it's also, I think JP alluded to this, it's going to be a revenge game squared for us because of what happened in Salt Lake City last year.
Yeah. And also, did we mention it's on FS1?
We did mention it's on FS1.
Fox's Sports Network.
Yeah, please go. Just please stop associating me with Fox just because I am not having the same strong and heartful boycott of all college football. But I am not a fan of Fox, despite what JP might say in the next 9.5
Terry
minutes.
just leaves it on his TV so they can rake in the revenue money from advertisements all Saturday long.
Yeah.
And don't think that you're getting away scot-free with this either, ESPN. I've got some real big bones to pick about the way that our university and Washington State was portrayed by the two football media powerhouses this weekend.
Yeah.
One, if we want to begin with game day. Again, I won't watch college football other than Oregon State. I refuse to. I have principles. I stand by my values as a human being and as an Oregon State Beaver to not cross a line of supporting these networks and these media outlets. And I'm not an extremist in this way, but I don't feel like I really needed to support them, and my eyeballs can be better served elsewhere. So that said, I only heard and read, and then did watch on social media comments made on College Game Day about this game, and I get a tongue-in-cheek comment. I, for one, love a little sly jab by somebody, and you just leave them wondering, wait, what? Did they say that? That was funny.
You are a silver-tongued devil.
Exactly.
That is known.
So I appreciate that. But when it's clearly written in the script.
And punching down. We're not about punching down.
To talk about our university and the game against two ranked teams, two quality football programs and teams in 2023. Lee Corso, do you know what year it is even? Do you even have any idea what town you're ever in?
I didn't see this. I'm actually I'm on the.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't seen this.
It was bad. I was watching it live, and I had to rewind it and see what he actually said. It was really bad.
When talking about our game, he referred to it as, and it's up for dispute, but he referred to it as the nobody watches game, bowl game. Nobody watches bowl, whatever the hell he called it, and then or nobody wants us bowl. It's no one can really tell what was said. It's hard to definitively say which way it went. But I thought it was a nobody watches bowl, which, if you're saying it in defense of the schools, like all you idiots that think this is the nobody watches bowl, well, pay attention. It's going to be a good game. Here's why. But they proceeded to just laugh about the two schools being left out and excluded and not invited, and that they almost tripled down on the notion that no one cares about our school or about Washington State on one of the biggest college football programs that there is on TV. And I think that's why Coach Dickert, after the game, even brought it up and was just saying, it's very clear what ESPN has done to unravel our conference, to undermine the value of our athletic programs. And this was just another play. And it was the sleaziest play. It was the worst play to do this on the preeminent game of college football every Saturday. You go there's games all day, but the game that everyone watches on ESPN, everyone who's going to tune in at some point through the day, everyone watches, is College Game Day.
Right.
And they blasted us there.
It was a perfect opportunity for them to be like, this sucks for these two schools. Look at how good they are. This is going to be a great game.
Fix this,
special
employer.
It is that they're paying.
Yeah. I'm walking out if you don't fix this. I mean, no one. Shout out Kirk Herbstreit. He's taken. He has leaned in. He has talked about how it's unfair. He's very much representing the Beavs. I wouldn't say he's gone as far to challenge his employer in any way about the situation that they have single-handedly kept us in. And I want to emphasize this. I said this in our group text because I think this is a very important point of emphasis. ESPN and Fox did not primarily put us in this position. I know there's fault and blame everywhere.
There's a lot of it to go around.
Yes. But they have now both networks have single-handedly kept us in this position. They have been stiff-arming us to a distance by design, on purpose, to not have to deal with this, to help the schools that they have brought on board collect the money that they want. This is a collusion attempt to take the rug out entirely on Oregon State and Washington State by the media networks for the conferences on behalf of the schools. And there's no other way to look at it other than what happened this weekend, how this game was portrayed on ESPN. I get it. It wasn't an ESPN broadcast. They're not supposed to hype it up, whatever. But they didn't have to talk about it then. They didn't have to talk about it at all. That would have been much better than calling it the Nobody Watches Bowl or the Nobody Wants Us Bowl. It'd be much better than laughing about, oh yeah, they're on the outside looking in, okay? But then, Fox, you're not off the hook either.
I have an issue with Fox about this.
I don't know what kind of attempt you were making with your outro music for every commercial break.
Yep.
Yeah. No shit.
Just the two of us.
Don't play 5 seconds to
Make it
that.
if we try.
No, fuck
It
that.
would be if it's on any other, if it's on a not Fox or ESPN. If like we organically came to that conclusion as two fan base being like,
Yes.
this is gonna be our song, we can make it if we try.
If Martin
But
Stadium played that.
Fox doing it, you're the reason that we have to embrace a fucking we can do this anthem.
Hey, JP, please play 5 seconds of Loser by Beck for Fox and half of the Big Ten network that they fucking support.
You know the shitty part about or one of the many shitty parts about this is that they made Mark Helfrich look like the hero. He's the only one. He called out the Big 12 commissioner for pulling this shit. I forget if it was during pregame or during the game. But if Mark Helfrich is going to be the reasoning voice supporting Oregon State in this fucking mess, then you know it's a problem.
Right.
You know
Mark
it's a problem.
Helfrich has always loved Oregon State.
And the thing that I have a problem with the whole ESPN's perspective. Number one, it doesn't matter what Corso said, whether it's the Nobody Watches Bowl or the Nobody Wants Us Bowl. The fact of the matter is that he laughed after, so he's making light of the situation. So it was a mockery, no matter what was said. And I get the frustration that is at Lee Corso, but let's be honest, like it's pretty clear that he is losing some of his faculty. And Dickert was right. Like he is getting a script of things to say. So whoever the producer of this show that thought it would be a good idea.
ESPN.
Exactly. That's my exact point.
Down at Oregon State, Washington State.
Is that this isn't, and you alluded to it, Jay, is that it's not something that Corso just off the cuff said and it was in bad taste. Like this was written down into the script of the show. And not only that, but this is the show where there are 3 Washington State flags flying behind him, 1 Oregon State flag, and it's in South Bend, Indiana. There weren't that many Notre Dame flags there. So like you have Fox doing this bullshit, and they really have changed the narrative. I mean, you look at some of what of the other fans of Pac-12 schools are saying, and they have jumped on this narrative of Oregon State and Washington State are the bad guys because somehow trying to get a little bit of the money that we definitely deserve because y'all have made your bed and made it very public. But not until
the end of August 2024.
Dude, and so like we've been made out to be the bad guys because of this shit. Like it's like little micro things.
Jeez, who drove that narrative? Yeah,
right. And man, the fact that it was on Fox to begin with is ironic as fuck.
And that is part of my beef with it because. And I'll let you get back to it, Jay, but it was on Fox. Fox has their own version of College Game Day called Big Noon Kickoff. It went to Oklahoma at Cincinnati this Saturday. Cincinnati's first Big 12 game, which congrats, Bearcats.
It's going to be a conference game for 1 year.
And it doesn't even seem like there's like that many storylines. This isn't a great Oklahoma team. It's not the Oklahoma of old. And Fox didn't even promote this game that much. Big Noon could have gone to Pullman, and they didn't. And then also, this is where, like, I wasn't psyched to see that we were on Fox. I was surprised that the game was on Fox, and I got a little bit excited. I was like, okay, this is an opportunity where no one has any excuse. Anyone who wants to watch this game doesn't have an excuse to not watch this game. It's not like Pac-12 Network, if you live out of state or away from the West Coast. Like, you can get to a TV that has Fox. But of course, and I think this was not unintentional, the game was right at the exact same time as Ohio State at Notre Dame. So, of course, people are going to – I haven't even seen the final ratings. If they are great ratings, then they're great ratings, and they're going to be ignored. And if they're not, they're going to – they'll come out tomorrow, and it's going to be like – we're recording this on Sunday, September 24th. It's going to be like there's no wind there. And it's going to be like, oh, this is why people don't want to watch Oregon State, Washington State if the ratings are poor, and there's not going to be any mention as to what was happening simultaneously on other networks.
And if they're good at it, because it was on Fox. Everyone just had something to watch.
Because it's on Fox, it's like, oh, yeah, it was a good game, and the other games are stupid. Like, yeah. But JP, I interrupted your final point. We do need to move on after this to talk some positives about Oregon State basketball and some negatives with Oregon State men's and women's soccer. But I don't want to.
My last one is, dude. Yeah. My last point is, like, if you think this is just like this, like, chummy, stupid little, like, oh, they just, like, Fox, they wanted a good game, and they got the good game. And then on the broadcast, they were just trying to make light of, but also draw attention to, that these are the last two teams in the Pac-2, and disassociate themselves completely with their involvement, right? And so just the two of us playing, like, okay, whatever, that's cutesy, right. It's whatever. But, like, yo, you got to dig deep if you're going to play Keep Your Head Up on an outro. Like, you got to know the meaning of Keep Your Head Up.
They played Me Against the World at one point, too.
Like, you don't just go, like, playing random Tupac songs. Like, if you're going to play random Tupac songs, you're playing, like, California Love and, like, Changes. I mean, like, you're not digging into Keep Your Head Up. Yeah,
they're on disc 2. They're on disc 2 of the greatest hits.
Yes, not even greatest hits. I mean, like,
it's a situation. Keep Your Head Up's on greatest hits.
I know it's on greatest hits, but, like, if
this was another time, I'd ask you to play 5 seconds. But I know whatever. No. But it's also it's cheesy. It's cheesy and corny and dumb as fuck when this is the situation you created.
Yeah,
Oregon State and Washington State are in this position. Not entirely because of just you, Fox, or entirely because of you, ESPN, but you two play a big fucking part in this seismic shift.
In this point, yes.
And that's how funny would it be if we played just the two of us, or Keep Your Head Up? Because we're going to throw whatever crumbs we can at you. We'll put you on FS1 this Friday.
But here's the fucking, the umbrella issue for me is the game that Washington State and Oregon State played, in some respects, is the type of primetime placement on the network that these teams are crawling all over each other to get that bag. That bag comes from advertisers that are advertising during a game like Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah.
And so it would take a really naive person to think that this showing of Oregon State and Washington State, not every single aspect of the broadcast was meticulously gone over. They knew that this game was going to be looked at in a very ironic way. Fox is part of this whole, Fox is leading this whole realignment, and Oregon State and Washington State were the two schools that were most publicly and realistically left out. So they had to build the narrative for this. And if you don't think that Helfrich and his cohort had maybe not a script, but a list of bullet points of things that they needed to touch on in every, I bet they had a team that was going through songs and going, what about this one? Nah, what about this one? Nah, how about Keep Your Head Up? Oh yeah, that's what people don't get, is these aren't accidents. There's a whole production was put on to come off in a particular way, just like ESPN. And that's what I'm saying. It's like it's like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes.
Do you know
what the main meaning of Keep Your Head Up is? It's like, know your worth.
Yeah.
Literally know your worth.
Yes.
They play this as an outro to us. Know your worth. Yeah, fuck you.
That's why we're fucking fighting right now.
So to the listeners, you have to ask yourself, like, what was the public representation of Oregon State and Washington State last year, with Corso telling the seeming or had the mockery and then laughed. Fox had all these funny songs as the outro. They're making light of it in the booth. Like, it's to make a joke out of it. It's to make it a light out of it.
Yes.
And what people like, the public they don't understand like the hurt that these two programs are going through right now. And like, it's coming off as anger. But I mean, dude, I've lived in Seattle for 10 years and people are they get super fucking angry when you bring up the Supersonics. It's that same thing, but to a different magnitude. And the fact that they have this scripted narrative of making it a joke or making light of the situation, it just goes beyond sports. It feels like politics, and no matter what side of the aisle you're on, like there are things that are being done that you're getting super mad about, and there's nothing that's being done about it, and no one is taking you seriously. And that's what it felt here, like, but to an even further degree, and splashed with irony left and right. Like it was a really fucking sad day for college football yesterday. I think more so than any day where there was realignment news, or like yesterday was the saddest and most pathetic day that I've ever witnessed in college football. And that is trying to look at it from the most unbiased perspective.
Yep. Yesterday was the day that the footage was released when college football died.
Yeah. They just gave a huge, like Costco-sized receipt yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, because not only are they culpable in this, well, there are receipts, and they're standing behind the receipts, and also saying fuck you, and while not giving a single shit about all of the hurt that has been caused. And this is going to happen to more programs too. Like this, it's OSU and Wazoo today. This is coming for other people, and
100%.
It's gonna
100%.
It's gonna suck. It's all these steps towards a watered down, homogenized version of JV NFL. And that isn't the college football we all fell in love with.
No.
And we obviously have an agenda because we're the ones who are left out, but that doesn't make us wrong. It doesn't make Oregon State and Washington
we're the first
wrong
two out of the not already in.
Right. It's like, hey, these rich people can't get immediately richer off of your product. This is why fucking I wrote about Jurassic Park in my first post on Cream. Because of the brilliance of Jeff Goldblum this was after a raptor had already eaten a human. They're still at Jurassic Park. I'm like, oh, look at how good of an idea this was. Look at how rich we're going to get. And Jeff Goldblum's like, your scientists were so fed up with thinking about whether or not they could. They didn't stop to think if they should. And then a bunch more people get eaten after that because you tried to fuck with nature and you tried to build something and patent it and put it on a plastic lunchbox without any values and sell the soul of college football, a sport that's had so much charm and so much heart for so long. Yes, it has never been perfect. There's always been a dark underbelly. And now you have two programs that you've publicly kicked to the curb, and you're trying to kick them while they're down. And that's fucking gross.
Terry, I do have two questions, not to target on this, but one, will you still watch College Game Day?
Yes.
Benny, you too.
Man, it's such a tradition. Like, I don't want to right now, but dude, like, that's the shitty part about it is like, I feel like I either have to give up something that I love in college football or
that thing that you love gave up on you.
Yeah, that is true. I don't know. The short answer is probably, but like, it makes me feel really dirty.
I don't blame anyone who doesn't. Like, I don't blame you for not watching anything besides Beavs games, JP.
Yeah.
It really sucks. It really sucks that people are like, it's just a game. Like, how can you be that? Like, don't let it affect you like that. And I think that's the fucked up thing. It's like ESPN, College Game Day, and the Fox News or the Fox broadcast of the game. They're speaking to people who are viewing this as a game. And I just don't think that with the narrative that's being built and not being part of one of or affiliated with one of these two programs, like it fucking doesn't matter because you've been made to believe that it doesn't matter. And I think from our perspective, it's just so frustrating because it's like, no, like, take this seriously. Like, look at it. Like, this is really, it's like you grow up going to these games, and like, we've been going to these games together for so many years, and it's not about the sport. It's about the like experience and what it means to be part of the Beaver fam or the Coug fam. And like, that's being stripped of us, and you just want someone to pay attention. And the two entities that can do something about it and you want to pay attention are making fun of you. Like, it felt fucking awful yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's our message is not what's getting to the neutral. It's random guy. Oh, Ohio State and Notre Dame haven't scored yet. Let me see what else is on. Oh, Oregon State, Washington State is on Fox and tunes to it. And there's the Tupac jokes and the nobody wants us jokes or whatever. So then that's what they see and they don't get to see the stories behind the fan base. This was a golden opportunity. I think there was some behind the scene push for either Big Noon or College Game Day to go to Pullman, but for either of those productions to do that, they would have had to admit that they were wrong, and they are never going to do that.
No.
So like there's egg on their face. I do think, like, take Twitter out of this for a little bit. Every conversation I've had with a college football fan this year outside of Oregon State and Washington State fan base, every single conversation that didn't take place on Twitter, people are pissed. Like, I've talked to, even bringing the enemy into this, I know more Duck fans who are furious than Duck fans who aren't. I know Husky fans who are furious and Husky fans who aren't.
Are you talking about just yesterday or just in general?
No, I'm in general. I haven't talked to people's like reaction to just Lee Corso. I think most people would be like, does Corso even know what he's saying anymore? I feel like that would get dismissed by most people, but also...
But it was said on national TV, on one of the biggest TV shows.
And also, it's not.
And that's probably the point.
It's not the first time that we've been dismissed as worthless in this whole thing. So it's like, you're telling me not to be mad about Corso doing this, but you haven't paid attention to me screaming from a mountaintop about being cast aside for the last 3 months to 15 months.
Yeah.
And we're fucking sick of it. But I think most people who care about this sport are sympathetic and don't like the direction it's going into, but they're just trying to get that group of casuals who they can turn into cackling hyenas on the internet, and they can flip this TV contract by creating NFL Junior, by cutting all of the soul and like maybe like, oh yeah, this... Why does a team from LA play a team in Pullman, Washington ever? Let's stop doing that. Ha ha ha. And forget that any sport other than football exists at these institutions, and we're all going to get rich. And that is what they're doing, and it is infuriating a lot of people. But the right stories aren't being told, which is why I said this last year. We've all said this. This is a me thing, but like, and we said it even more this summer as well. Like, this is why what we're doing is important, and what any independent content creator, whether it be a podcast or a blog, any writer, anyone, like the things that people are doing on social media just to try and shed some more light on the experience, especially of Oregon State and Washington State right now, matters so much, which is why we try and uplift other people and tell people to listen to as many Oregon State podcasts as you can, interact with as much Oregon State content as you can, and remind yourself that your joy that's tied to this thing that you've loved your entire life fucking matters. Even if the rich power brokers who have all the money and for some reason have all of the decisions because of this amorphous fucking hierarchy that somehow got created without any vetting or any purpose, is saying that we don't matter. So I don't know how I got to there from where we were. But
I have one more commentary, and JP, you talked about this, but if we somehow have listeners that are, I don't know, Oklahoma State fans, Kansas State fans, Texas Tech fans.
Oklahoma State's coach talked at length about how fucked up this all is a few weeks ago.
And like, this probably is a plea coming out of a biased perspective, but like, I might be pushing to get Oregon State and Washington State into the Big 12, because you're going to need all of the notoriety and numbers to fight against the SEC and the Big Ten. Like, if you think that there is going to be a golden parachute for you to be cast off with, you're gonna be mistaken. Like, we're the first to fall, and I think that's why it sucks so much. Is like, there's so much unknown, and it hasn't, like, this. It feels worse than the SMU death penalty of the 80s, and it is worse, I think.
Because we didn't.
But it's going to happen to more schools, and if I'm Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Baylor, like, just watch out. Like, you guys, those are the list of schools that are next.
Right. And I have a piece coming out in the next issue of Flagrant about this, which speaks a little bit more to college basketball.
Whoa, you're back in Flagrant?
I'll be in the next issue of Flagrant. Yeah.
Oh,
I think.
Let's go.
It's a little
if
bit.
You're lucky.
We'll see.
If you're lucky.
If I'm lucky, we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's like what this whole thing has signaled is that communities, tradition, heritage, feelings, to use a buzzword, but we all have feelings around sports we love. Love is a feeling. Don't matter. They to the power brokers. They don't matter. And it's just Fox, ESPN, Big Ten, SEC.
No.
And to the next step, Tobacco Road's not safe. Can you imagine if Duke and North Carolina get ripped into separate conferences just because of that's what football money dictates? That literally happened to Syracuse and Georgetown 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the Big East was able to bounce back at least for basketball in a way, but that's a pretty unique situation.
Yeah.
Given that the remaining Big East institutions that recovered the previous branding and stuff are all smaller private schools that don't have D1 football teams and have really respectable basketball programs. Like that kind of a life raft won't exist, but they already signaled that your existence doesn't matter because we can make more money without you existing, or you existing but far away from us. So goodbye to USC playing on the Palouse. Goodbye to hilarious rivalries or to contrasting whatever. Goodbye to colorful coaches and wild shit happening. And these Pac-12 games at 2 a.m. in the desert that only the sickos watch, but know that that's when the real college game day starts and like when the real fun happens and when the lights are shining brightest. That's what's made. That's why if I had to choose one sport over my entire life, if I could only pick one sport, it would always have been college football.
Yeah.
Because it's the wildest. It's the most. Even in a year where it's just like, oh, we just know Saban's going to host another national championship trophy. The path from the start to that finish is always the most interesting one.
Oh, 100%.
And it's not going to be anymore.
I'm not trying to get too hot on these takes, but like if you're still watching college game day, if you're still watching college football in general, that is not supporting just your team, you are pouring fuel on the fire.
Yeah, I think like I feel that so hard. Like I 100%, I feel that so hard. I do think one of the reasons why I'll probably watch this year is because it is the last year of college football as we know it.
But that's what I'm saying. But like all the viewership, all this bullshit, like we talked about this now already. If we have good viewer numbers, Fox is gonna be like, or the public's gonna be like, well, yeah, there was no other good games going on. It was on Fox. Of course, they had good viewer numbers.
Right.
If we have bad viewer numbers, Fox is gonna be like, well, we gave them a chance. We put both schools on primetime Saturday college football, and guess what? They didn't draw numbers. Don't worry about what happened with Notre Dame. We're just saying we just couldn't get the viewership because these are small-time schools with no brands and no appeal. So you're just supporting all of this bullshit. You're just supporting this terrible narrative, like that we're not deserving, and that we are the have-nots. And you agree that there are the haves, and you'll watch them talk about the haves.
It's a fucking. You're on the losing side if you're on the other side of this.
Right? We don't change anything by watching the games.
Yeah,
they don't care if they're screwing you over. You're lining their pockets. So we're just like, remember that when you turn it on next Saturday, fine, turn it on, put it on bright and early in the morning. Watch the sunrise with College Game Day. But you know what? Just remember that you're contributing to this. You are contributing to this. You are contributing more so.
I agree with everything you said until everything you said in the last 15 seconds.
You are contributing this more so than you are helping it by even watching Oregon State to begin with.
My pushback with that is a number of things.
What?
More so just that I am aware of the hierarchical branches of big college football and with the NFL too, because I've had my issues with the NFL and probably every big sports entity at one point. And that is, I'm not going to bequeath control of my happiness if I enjoy the product that gets put out in college football.
So that's better than what they're doing to destroy your other happiness of the product of college football that you love, that they're wringing around the neck. Sure.
It's not better, but if every single Oregon State fan doesn't tune into a single ESPN or Fox broadcast, we don't have a chance at saving it. And I think people have many different and complex feelings about this. So what I hear you doing is if you watch a random college football game because you like it, you are complicit in the demise of Oregon State. And I completely disagree with that.
No. I'm saying if you're going to tune in weekly, religiously to a program that is drawing all their eyeballs to a network before college sports start, like College Game Day or High Noon, whatever all this shit is, yes, you're only being like, well, let's just see what happens.
Well, I didn't want to turn this into a versus you thing on this because I think we're actually closer than your reaction because I hate the head of ESPN for this. I've hated that decision-making behind ESPN for years now, and I've tuned in because there's still joy to be had in what's on their network. I think the show College Game Day is hokey and dumb and part of the evil empire that's doing this, but
and laughs at our university as a no one wants to watch bowl.
Whatever. We've been disrespected on national TV for years. I haven't.
But not when there's programs, coaches, people, livelihoods on the line.
Right, but you even praise Herb Street for the thing that the positive things that he said about it.
No, I didn't praise him. I said at least there's somebody who has tried to shine a light on us and not just make a mockery out of our university.
He also backed up Corso today.
Yeah.
He also threw his support behind Corso and defended him. For what it's worth.
With like on Twitter or something?
Yeah, on Twitter. He retweeted him and Ryan Leaf were going at it on Twitter. Ryan Leaf, the old Washington State quarterback.
I know who
you
Ryan
just had a
Leaf
blank look on your face.
No, I'm thinking about this. I think being like you have to not watch this to be on the right side of history is also dangerous thinking and not necessarily fair.
Sorry.
And being like, am I not allowed to go tailgating with like my family and friends I've made over the years who tailgate Minnesota Gopher games because they're in the Big Ten and the Big Ten is culpable in this? Like, of course not. That's insane. And
no, but you're not directly contributing to the line.
I'm contributing to money going towards the Big Ten conference
by tailgating,
by being around the stadium and putting in my energy and resources into that product and going to games and buying beer at games. That's the same thing.
You think that tickets and beer sales are the reason why this conference realignment chaos
no, I don't think it's the
happening?
reason why it's happening, but what you are saying, JP, is a very black and white. You have to do this to be on the right side of history.
I never said you have
to stop watching College Game Day.
I said don't watch College Game Day. If you really want to make a point, don't watch College Game Day. Not you have to. I never said you have to.
But then it's okay. But then the game that's right after College Game Day is the game I want to watch, and that's ESPN. But that's okay.
If it's Oregon State, sure.
I know it doesn't feel like you guys are splitting hairs, but you guys are splitting hairs.
I know. Can we move on?
Yeah.
I didn't bring this up. I literally didn't bring this up. I'm just being attacked here.
Hey,
okay.
One other thing, not to segue away from it, and I don't think we should dive in right now because we've been on for 2 hours. But next episode, I want to talk promotion relegation with you guys. That has to be a topic of conversation.
Yeah,
I love that as a talker for everything, really.
Yeah,
and just in life.
In a tough week for soccer.
Oregon State men's soccer gets shut out against LMU, and Oregon State women's soccer gets shut out at ASU. Fuck, is anything sacred? That's what I got. But Oregon State basketball, we add Dejon Craig.
Oh,
from Indy. Always smart to add Indiana basketball players, right, Benny? That lines up with your logic on the Mason-Dixon line of college baseball rule.
Yep, that's right.
Right. Dejon Craig, is he Jimmy Chitwood? Probably. I think he is.
I mean, for our listeners that may not know who that is, who is that?
Jimmy Chitwood is the star player in the movie Hoosiers.
I'm asking for a friend.
Dejon Craig is this generation's Jimmy Chitwood, who hit the shot that won the state championship for.
I like to refer to him though as J. John Craig Robinson.
That. If we still do brackets in March Madness next year, that has to be your bracket. J. John Craig Robinson.
That's really good.
A friend of mine had a fantasy team this year with C.D. Lamb and Debo Samuel, and his team name is C. Debo Lamuel. And that just reminded me of that. Also, real quick, we got a sneak peek of some new threads for the men's basketball team. Dexter,
we need more picks
in some picks, but JP, I know you were really excited about this.
Yeah, they brought back the more 90s look, which I love. Big, thick side piping panels. The nice little trim beaver script across the front. There's something about the elements that do look a little undersized or something, but the concept is good, and I need to see the orange and I need to see the blacks, and then the whites are whatever, but I just want to see the rest of the set.
Right.
Look, I have been not the kindest, I guess, to the whatever team it is that comes up with Oregon State uniforms. uniforms. And look, to their credit,
Nike.
I never would have thought to put the Beaver script that was on the old 90s football helmets onto a basketball jersey, but it looks really good, and I think goes away from maybe a style with the block letters that we're seeing, which I think is really cool. I do agree with you though. It's like 90% awesome and 10% what the fuck. It's like the Kirkland brand of what the jersey should be.
You're like squinting, like, is that say number 14?
It's just select all, increase font size by a little bit.
Yeah, make it an H1, not an H4.
Right. They look like they could be sweet though. I want the black uni that I think the men's team and the women's team should just have the same
uniforms.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It should be uniform. What the uniforms are. Yeah. Especially the black ones that the women's team rocked last year with or Oregon above the number and state below the number. I always love when you have a two word title to do that in basketball uniforms. So that is some good news that we can all agree on, and looking forward to basketball season. The majority of the non-conference record got posted. Lots of games.
Hey, by the way, my bet is that the oranges say Oregon State for the men's.
The oranges say Oregon and then State?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, for the women's team? Oh.
No, for the men's.
Oh, with white lettering and black piping?
Yep.
White lettering and black piping?
Oh, that would be... Oh, I'd buy so many jerseys.
And white panels on the side. Yep.
Oh, wait, you've seen them, or that's what you're betting?
No, I guarantee it, though. I guarantee it. That's what they're
Yep. What will the black ones look like? OSU?
No, I hate those ones.
No, they might.
I'm asking what he thinks.
They might say, they might say OSU. They'll probably just say OSU.
Or do they still have the same Oregon State script with Oregon and State across the top?
No, I think that the script is the Beavers, and then we need Oregon State, and I think we can do two of one of those. So I doubt it's the script again. I think the script feels like a special
Not the script, case. But like the last number of years that the black ones has been Oregon State in, I don't even know if it's block lettering, just in not
sans
cursive,
serif,
but just sans serif across the top,
dude,
which I don't love. But
our basketball jerseys since Gary Payton is shit that like you can find at Dick's clearance rack. I don't like our basketball jerseys until now. Like fucking whatever you do, stay with the crew neck. Like JP said, that 90s style neck instead of the the V neck that I wore under my button-up shirts in 2008. Like. Please stay with the crew neck. I mean, it's such a clean look.
I have never bought a basketball jersey.
Me neither.
Since I went to Oregon State 20 years ago, I bought
one. I bought one Gary Payton one that clearly from China. So it's probably time for me to buy one from the store and support the university myself.
All right, wrap it up.
All right. Okay, and we're out of the uni preview. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in to this long, to put it lightly, episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast. Thank you for holding us down. Episode 109 now in the books. Tough result for our Beavs on the Palouse this weekend, but coming back against Utah on Friday. JP will be there, probably running around the terrace area with his kids. So say what up to JP. He'll probably have stickers or some kind of swag on his person as he does, and we'll gladly hook you up. So if you are there, be loud, be proud. Find Big Game Boomer, buy him a beer or a chop 'em stick or whatever Big Game Boomer wants. Who's been supporting our fan base for a while. We love BGB. And go Beavs. Get out to women's soccer at Lorenz this week. They host Utah on Thursday and Colorado on Sunday. So let's beat Utah multiple days. That's always a great week when you beat Utah more than once. So show up, show out, start frenzies at Lorenzi, make Reeser loud and proud, and go Beavs. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go to belligerentbeavs.com/merch. We are sold out of the Pack 2 shirts. There may or may not be another drop scheduled. We probably need the sting of this loss to simmer a little bit before we can contemplate making those available again. But lots of great stuff, especially since the Revenge Tour is now fully starting. Come on, you got to get your Revenge Tour shit. JP knocked it out of the park with that design, and all of the money goes back to
Damian Martinez. Yeah, approves. So
yeah. If Damian Martinez approves, like how have you not bought it yet? Like, come on, get on it. belligerentbeeves.com/merch, belligerentbeeves.com. Follow us on Twitter @belligebeeves, on Instagram at belligerentbeeves. We have a Facebook, we have a TikTok, we have a Blue Sky. I think I'm gonna keep asking. I think that we have a Blue Sky for like the next. Until I'm on Blue Sky personally, we do have one. To have gotten a
shout out Ashton
code or whatever. Oh yeah,
at
Little Butts.
Yeah,
hooked us up with it. So yeah, we're on all the socials, and if there's a social that we're not on, let us know. And yo, YouTube, JP's killing it with the YouTubes. Since with this like latest like whatever we found that makes cool YouTube shorts, just other videos. I think more people are viewing the shit too on YouTube last time I checked. So appreciate y'all interacting in that way. I'm glad our faces are not scaring you off. But if our voices didn't scare you off in the first place, then there's probably nothing that's scaring you off. You can see Saw X, which is coming out soon, and probably be fine. Thank you to my dapper, beautiful, and amazing co-hosts on this show, especially Birthday Benny celebrating B-Day number 37 this past weekend. Unfortunately with the Beaver loss, but the rest of the birthday was great. And again, one more time, you're looking fantastic.
Thank you.
JP and I look great too, but also just that hair, amazing. That's why you're Benny with the good quaff. Also Benny Burner, Benny Bowl Game.
Benny Birthday.
Benny Blast Off. Benny Birthday. Benny Burner. Benjamin Lawrence. Sebastian Weehage in Tacoma, Washington. Maybe not our two favorite baseball teams match up in the playoffs, and we have to stop being friends for a few days. But that's not official yet. Well,
we're done.
Playoffs.
Oh my God,
we're cooked.
The fate of the Belligerent Beeves baseball hopes rests on the Minnesota Twins, winners of the worst division in baseball history.
Go Larnack.
Crazy things have happened. Go Larnack, who had 2 RBIs today.
Nice.
Yeah, he's
some Lar smacks.
2 for me, none for you.
There you go. Yeah. Anyways, that latest quip, JP Bertram at JP Bertram on Instagram and at the Trill J on Twitter, at the _Trill_Dre because he's too trill to be real. And I'm, of course, Terry Horseman at Terry Horseman on Twitter and at Terrence Horseman on Instagram. Please like and subscribe the show wherever you get your podcast. Give us a 5-star review. Please, and share the show with a friend. It really helps us grow the show a lot. For these past 109 episodes and the 1,909 episodes that we will make in the future, no matter what happens. And all that, keep cheering for the Beavs, no matter who tries to bring you down, no matter who tries to talk shit, no matter who does whatever. We support Ryan Leaf. And also remember that you cannot spell chop 'em without hope. So chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Bring back Bernice.
Can't wait to welcome Utah to an Orange Hell on Friday. Let's go.
Woo! Let's go.